Have you seen my wrench?
All right. Welcome to the video. Arrived out here at this job and they called me out for a hose.
Hey man, I blew a hose. Can you help me?
Them. What kind of hose is blown? Is it leaking any fluid, any antifreeze? They said no, it's just an air hose. I said, an air hose, is that like a turbo hose or air for your air compressor? They said it's the turbo hose. So I came out, got my toolboxes unlocked, and now I'm here to see what size we got going on here. Hose they've got on here for the air-to-air hose. I brought two sizes out. One's a 3.5 inch and it's blue, and the other one is an orange one and it's 4 inches. I'm checking the turbo hose and I see that it's getting worn out, but I also see that this particular International has a steel band clamp that needs to be cut off when the original one is replaced. So I'm sizing it up to make sure that I've got the right size, which I do. Now I'm going to cut that clamp off. So I'm going to head back over to my service truck and I need to find my grinder. I bought a Milwaukee angle grinder and right now I have a grinder disc on there and I need to change it out for a cutting wheel. I don't know what happened to the tool that came with my grinder. So what I use is a long needle nose pliers to stick in there and get that nut off. Once I get that off, I have a real nice kit that I bought with a bunch of cutting blades in it. And what I like about those kits with the metal case is bouncing around in my service truck, a lot of the blades will get tore up, and then when you go to use the blade, it can really mess you up. It can fly apart, and I don't know if any of you have ever been hit by a flying cutting wheel before, but they will slice you open real quick and they can really mess you up. So I put on one of my cutting wheels here from my metal case and they're protected, so I'm not too worried that they're going to fly apart, but I always wear safety glasses no matter what. So right here, I'm about to get into cutting, and this is the part I really enjoy. I love to get in here and just use my tools to fix these trucks. And on this one, I've got to make sure that I don't cut the actual hard turbo piping. I don't want to cut that piping because if I did, I'd have to remove it and either weld it or buy the customer a whole new pipe. And that pipe can be expensive, especially on Internationals. Many of you are probably aware that International parts, or any of these semi-truck parts, they don't come cheap. But as I'm cutting this, you're not going to be able to see it, but I can just barely see where my cutting wheel is cutting through that metal band, and as it's cutting, I'm able to just barely see the orange of that rubber hose start to pop through. So that's giving me an indication that I do not need to go any deeper. It's basically precision cutting here. If the grinder itself were to slip and buck and put a chunk hole in that pipe, then I'd have a real problem on my hands. So I take my time, I do it right. And then for this part, the easiest way that I've found to get these clamps off of there is just grab a couple flat blade screwdrivers and pry and break that clamp free. And once it's broke free, I slide it back and then boom, it pops off of the turbo piping. So now I got to grab all of my tools, take them back to my service truck. And for me personally, I don't like to leave my tools laying around at truck stops For one, it's easy for me to forget stuff if I just leave stuff laying around. So I try to put stuff back right away. But right here, you'll see me taking the cutting wheel back off. And I do that because I don't want to put that grinder in my toolbox and have it bouncing around for the next few days until I use it again. And then I go to use it again and that blade is cracked. I do not want to get hit with a flying cutting disc flying apart. And so what I do is I put my heavy duty grinder disc on there and just cinch it down so it's ready to go if I gotta get in any grinding here in the next little bit. But I like to keep my work area clean. I tend to put all my tools back as I'm using them. Unless it's a real big job, of course. I may have stuff laying everywhere, may have a big old mess, may have stuff all over my tailgate, all over my tool box shelves. But in this case, it's just a real quick job. I know exactly what I need to get this job done quickly. And right here, I'm double checking my clamps. I've got two different kind of clamps, but they look really similar in size. And I don't know for sure if the one clamp is going to fit, so I got to double check that. But one of the clamps is like a cheaper clamp, but they are strong and they work just fine. And then the other clamp I've got right there is like a factory international style clamp with the spring, etc. And those clamps are really heavy duty. They'll tend to last a long time. But what I see a lot with those clamps is they'll just randomly fail. They rust and they just break off randomly, and that's what happened to this customer here. They literally just going down the road, and as that turbo pressurizes that piping and that clamp is holding that pressure back, all of a sudden, boom, it just breaks apart. And another thing that tends to happen when you see that clamp break off and the turbo boot fly off is, of course, the truck's not getting the air that it needs to run properly. So you're typically going to get a bunch of black smoke. Now, if your truck is newer and you have DPF and DEF, etc., then that's going to dump a bunch of black soot into your DPF. So it would not be unusual after you blow a turbo hose that you might need to have a regen done, or it may do a regen on its own. But that's something to keep in mind as you're running your truck down the road with a blown turbo clamp or boot like this, is to think, what are you doing to your DPF and what other damages are you causing? So it is a good idea to quickly get pulled over at a safe area, just like this customer did here. Like, that was super cool that this driver knew, hey, I'm gonna get pulled over to a safe area. I'm not gonna keep driving my truck and risking messing up a bunch of other stuff. But right here you can see, zooming in, it does not fit that first clamp that I got. So no big deal. I do have another clamp with me. Thankfully, I have a couple different ones today to make sure I got this customer taken care of. And that's what I try to do. I try to take every single thing that I can think of out with me to make sure that I can get this job done quickly, and I'm not having to drive back and forth for parts and causing this guy to have to pay a whole bunch of money in time, etc. I want to get this done efficiently, want to get it done so he can be back on the road and I can get on to the other work that I need to be doing as well. But yeah, just enjoying the day. It's a beautiful blue sky. Super happy to be out working today. It's a real blessing. Loving it. And my camera guy's loving it too. We're just having a blast together out here working and getting this stuff done. So right here, I like to install this right here on the pipe first, like I'm doing. And as you can see, I'm positioning that clamp. I'm gonna make sure that clamp is installed right in the middle of the two humps that are in the metal pipe itself. I don't want it to be too far forward, and then this guy goes down the road in 3 miles and he blows his clamp and hose off again. It makes us look like a bunch of idiots. We can't be doing that. I have seen companies or mechanics not install a simple clamp the right way and take an extra 3 or 4 seconds to make sure it's in the right spot, and then a customer ends up needing another clamp and another hose or another situation, another breakdown in a couple days or a couple hours. So I always make